We're talking with Herb Nass about celebrity wills. I understand that strangers ultimately got most of the money from Marilyn Monroe's estate.
Yes, when she died, the most important person in her life was Lee Strasberg, so she left 75% of her estate to him. She also left 25% to her psychotherapist, Dr. Marion Criss. When Lee Strasberg died several years later, his estate was left to his third wife. His estate included his interest in Marilyn's estate. His third wife never even met Marilyn, and she is the primary beneficiary of Marilyn's estate today.
Really?
She would have been well advised to set up a trust for him. He was older than she, and,
right.
That way she could have determined where the property would ultimately go.
Well, there were some odd rumors about Walt Disney, too, after he passed away.
He died in 1966, and since that time there's been a wide rumor that his body was frozen and preserved after his death.
Y'all heard that, right? Yeah. Is that true?
I've personally looked at the court records in Los Angeles and have seen that there were substantial payments to Forest Lawn Cemetery for his internment. Forest Lawn Cemetery had no provision for cryogenesis, which is preserving someone's body after their death. So I believe that rumor is not true.
Okay. We'll be right back.
The perils of public life continue even into death. A new book, Wills of the Rich and Famous, looks at the last testament of some of the biggest names from the world of entertainment and politics. The book's author is Herb Nass, and he joins us here in Los Angeles. Now let's run down some that are in the book. John F. Kennedy's will is in the book.
Kennedy was interesting in that his will was from 1954, and despite being elected to the highest office in the land, he never updated his will. Especially in light of his having two children subsequent to 1954 and, of course, becoming president. What's even more interesting, I think, is that his brother Robert had a will from the same time which named John as a co-executor, yet even after John's assassination, Robert never updated his 1954 will either.
In the back of the book segment today, ever wonder what some very famous people left in their wills? Well, wonder no more. With us now is attorney Herbert Nass, who has 400 wills of famous people and has written a book called, you guessed it, The Wills of the Rich and Famous. Malcolm Forbes, now here is major buckaroos, right?
Well, he was a man of eclectic taste, and his will reveals that. He gave $1,000 to 30 motorcycle clubs that he had ridden with, $1,000 to each of the clubs, and he gave $1,000 to the owners of 9 of his favorite restaurants. He also showed that he believed in primogeniture, which provides that the eldest son gets the bulk of the estate, and his eldest son, Malcolm, got 51% of the voting stock of Forbes, Inc., and was named sole executor of Malcolm Sr.'s will.
Well, listen, counsel, it's a fascinating book, and we understand you're working on a second one. And don't get my will, okay? If you would just do me a favor here.
No.
It's very simple.
You have my word. While you're alive, I won't
I'm a man of modest means. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Some stars like Jerry Garcia and Rock Hudson left behind legal battles between loved ones over their wealth. But Hollywood tough guy John Wayne made sure to keep everyone peaceful like.
He expressly stated that he was estranged from his then third wife, I believe. His will also includes an in terrorem clause, which states that if anyone contests the will, he or she loses his or her bequest under the will.
Christina Onassis' daughter gets the money. How much?
Apparently, that is a huge estate, perhaps in excess of $1 billion. Apparently, she gets...
How old was she? She was like 4 or 5 when it happened, when her mother died?
She is now living with her natural father in Switzerland. At age 18, she's 12 currently. At age 18, she gets the bulk of her mother's estate, with business interests passing to her at age 21. How an attorney would allow a will like that to be signed by his client, I don't know. It makes no sense for someone that young to inherit that amount of money.
What would you have advised?
I would have put it in a long-term trust with discretion in the hands of the trustees to determine when she could get the funds, with certain payments being paid out at certain ages.
Okay.
Even when the platinum set are 6 feet under, they can still control their fabulous fortunes. That's the bottom line from New York attorney Herb Nass, the man who wrote the book on the ultimate power play from beyond.
The words in terrorem are from the Latin from in fright or in terror, and they are designed to preclude anyone from contesting the will.
Simply put, like it or lose it.
Anybody have like a really weird will?
Well, President Calvin Coolidge, who was known to be a man of few words, had a one-sentence will.
Which said?
He said, not unmindful of my son John, I give everything to my wife Grace.
That's